Today I'm gonna try something different. Normally I will read, but I'm gonna try this book audio thing. And this is gonna deal strictly with Atlantis, coming from the Lama from Tibet, Lobsang Rampa, out of his book, The Tibetan Sage. Y'all pay close attention to what Dr. Rampa has to say. According to Atlantis, from what he was taught by his Lama Minyar Donop when they consulted the Akashic records. This scene takes place with Lobsang Rampa and his Lama Minyar Donop way up high in the Himalayan mountains. After witnessing so many advanced technology from Atlantis while in this mountain, in this cave, this is what we are displayed.
Master, I said, how can that possibly heal your legs, and how is it that you know so much about these languages? Oh, it's very simple, he said. I've been studying this type of thing for the whole of my life. I have traveled extensively throughout the world, and I have picked up different languages. You may have noticed that I have books always with me, and I spend all the time I have to spare reading these books and learning from them. Now, this language, he pointed to writing on the wall, is what is called Sumerian, and this one was the main language of one of the Atlantises. Atlantises? I thought, but the place was Atlantis. I said so, and the Lama laughed at me quite gleefully and said, No, Lobsang, there is no such place as Atlantis. It is a generic term for the many lands which sank beneath the ocean and all trace of the lands was lost. Oh, I said, I thought Atlantis was a place where they had a very advanced civilization to the extent that it made us like country yokels, but now you tell me there was no one specific Atlantis. He broke in on my speech and said, there is so much confusion about it, and the scientists of the world won't believe the truth. The truth is this: once upon a time this world had just one land mass. The rest was water, and eventually, through the vibrations of the earth such as earthquakes, the one land mass was broken up into islands, and if they were bigger islands then they were called continents. They gradually drifted apart so that many of these islands had people who had forgotten the old language, and they used their own family dialect as their standard language. Years ago there was no speech, everyone communicated by telepathy, but then some wicked people took advantage of knowing what everyone was communicating to everyone else, and so it became the custom that in communities the leaders of the communities devised languages which they would use when they did not want to use telepathy which anyone could pick up. In time the language became used more and more, and the art of telepathy was lost except for a few people like some of us in Tibet. We can communicate by thought. I, as an illustration, have communicated with a friend at Chakpora and told him of my exact situation, and he replied to the effect that it was just as well to stay where we were because there were raging storms which would make it very difficult for us to descend the mountainside. But this place might have been vacated yesterday. I just don't understand it, and I don't understand about Atlantis. Well, there is such a thing as suspended animation. In fact, these people, the gardeners of the earth, were subject to illnesses just the same as we are. But they could not be treated and cured with the crude materials available on this earth, so when a person was really ill and beyond the skill of the gardeners on this earth, then the patients were encased in plastic after having the treatment of suspended animation. In suspended animation the patient was alive, but only just. A heartbeat could not be felt, and certainly no breath could be detected, and people could be kept in that state alive for up to 5 years. A ship came down every year to collect these cases and take the sufferer away for treatment in special hospitals in the home of the gods. When they were repaired they were as good as new. Master, how about those other bodies, men and women, each one in a stone coffin? I am sure they are dead, but they look alive and they look healthy, so what are they doing here? What are they for? The gardeners of the earth are very busy people. Their overseers are even more busy, and if they wanted to know about the real conditions among the earthlings they just took over one of these bodies. Their own astral form entered one of these bodies, they are just cases really, you know, and activated the body. And then one could be a man of 30, or whatever age suited, without all the bother and mess of being born and living a childhood and perhaps taking a job, and even taking a wife. That could lead to a lot of complications. But these bodies are kept in good repair, and always ready to receive a soul which would activate them for a time, and they would respond to certain stimuli and the body would be able to move under perfect control at the will of the new and temporary occupant of the body case. There are quite a number of these what we call transmigration people about. They are here to keep a check on the humans and try to avert and redirect some of the violent tendencies of these people. I find this utterly fascinating and almost unbelievable. And how about the bodies on the top of the potala, the ones that are encased in gold, are they to be used as well? Oh dear me, no, said the Lama. These are humans of a superior type, and when the body dies the ego moves on to higher realms. Some go to the astral world where they wait about, studying some of the people in the astral world, but I shall have to tell you more about this and about the realm of Patra. So far as I am aware it is only we Tibetan Lamas who know anything about Patra, but it's too big a subject to be rushed. But the Lama went rustling through the pages of the dictionary and then, making notes on the chart of our particular cave, he said, centuries and centuries ago there was a very high civilization, far higher than the world has reached since, but unfortunately there were more earthquakes and seaquakes, and some lands sank beneath the waves and, according to this dictionary, Atlantis is not just one sunken continent. There was one in the sea which they called Atlantic, and there was another one lower down in the Atlantic. It was a place where there were many high peaks and those peaks still protrude above the waters and now they are called islands. I can show you on the map just where it is. He rustled around among the papers and then produced a great big colored sheet of paper. Then he pointed out the seas and the places where Atlantis had been. Then he continued, Atlantis, the lost land, that is the real meaning of the word. LT is not a name like Tibet or India, it is a generic term for the lost land, the land which sank without trace.
Now as we turn the page, or may I say switch to another book, this information is going to be coming out of Lobsang Rample's book, The Hermit, where he continues to talk about Atlantis. Okay, so let me catch y'all up right quick. So there's this hermit. Well, he's not a hermit yet, okay? He gets captured by the Chinese embassy. They torture him. They gouge his eyes out. Literally, his eyes is hanging out his head. They throw him out with the trash. They leave him for dead. They really think he dead, but he's really not. Okay, so this monk priest, he starts just trying to find his way anywhere. He winds up being abducted by the Galactic Council. Okay, they clean him up, have women touch his body, and he's feeling all violated because these type of men, they don't have any affairs with women, period. You know, they're not homosexual. These are a certain group of monks that don't have any relations with women, period. So he felt violated when they was cleaning him. Apparently he was funky. They cleaned him up, perfumed him, and whatever, you know, put smells on him to make him smell better. And they basically gave him a sponge bath. Now, they put this box, some type of lens on him where he was able to see. But he was only able to see with his third eye. This allowed him to see all these people. He saw giants. He saw a bird-looking human. He saw a real short person that was like really short. And everybody bowed to this little short person, even the giants. He saw whatever you possibly could think of, like all throughout the universe, all type of people. People that look kind of like a creature, people that look like a fish type, humanoid, whatever you think of, you saw they was there. Now, so they take him, they do an operation on him. I'm just trying to catch all that real quick. They do operation on him in incision in his brain because he couldn't understand half or nothing what they were saying because they all spoke different languages. So they did some type of surgical incision in his brain, and they unlocked his intelligence to a more advanced portion to where he could understand even their language. So he wound up communicating with them. And they end up showing him the Akashic records of our world, how it evolved, and all that shit. Okay? Then they take him to a part in the Akashic records of the Atlanteans. And this is where it picks up off at.
Mighty civilization flourished. The world flew the gardeners of the earth visiting city after city. But some of them became too familiar with their human charges, or the women thereof. An evil priest of the human race persuaded a beautiful woman to seduce one of the gardeners and to inveigle him so that he betrayed forbidden secrets. Soon the woman was in possession of certain weapons formerly in the man's care. Within the hour the priest had them. By treachery certain of the priestly caste manufactured atomic weapons, using the stolen one as pattern. A plot was hatched whereby certain of the gardeners were invited to a temple for celebrations and thanksgiving grounds. The gardeners were poisoned, their equipment was stolen. Great assault was made on the other gardeners. In the battle the atomic pile of a grounded spacecraft was exploded by a priest. Shook. The great continent of Atlantis sank beneath the waves. In far-off lands tornadoes rent the mountains and tore humans apart. Great waves stormed in from the seas, and the world became almost barren of human life. Barren save for a few who cowered whimpering with terror in remote caves. As the earth shook and shivered with the effects of the atomic blast, for years no gardener came to inspect the world. Radiation was strong, and the scared remnants of humanity brought forth mutated progeny, and life was affected, and the atmosphere became debased. Sun was obscured by lowering red clouds. The wise ones decreed that yet another expedition should travel to Earth and take new stock to their desecrated garden. The great ark of humans, animals and plants set forth through the far reaches of space.
So many things I could say about Atlantis. Atlantis was a place of great experimentation, of very high civilization. A place where they was doing genetically interbreeding between animals and humans. So we had the Minotaur, the mermaids, and things today that are looked upon as myths. They were masters of magic, masters of using crystals. They were so advanced that even their walls were made out of crystals. If they wanted to turn the lights on in their houses, they would literally just tap the side of the wall, and the walls would light up. The crystals would light up. The crystals were their lights. Now, during the time of Atlantis, the Atlanteans were big when it came to time travel. The Atlanteans had reached such a height in civilization and technology to the point to where they had created a time machine that could go back and forth in time. And this is what formed up the Bermuda Triangle. Due to not just that, but when people they wind up missing and shit, they got caught in that little time traveling machine because it still pulsates on and off, but it does it very slowly. So these type of aircrafts that go across that way and get caught in it is because of that. Now the Atlanteans were big in harnessing power through crystals. And they use this black crystal because it absorbs all frequencies. And they were harnessing energy from the stars. And they opened up a wormhole. Sort of like what they do today using the CERN machine. And this got the Galactic Federation's attention, as well as them interbreeding humans with animals. And they decreed that Atlantis had to be destroyed. And this was the real secretive reason why Atlantis was destroyed.